Well, good morning. How are we?
Good.
Good? Ever seen a beautiful garden? Ever been walking by someone's house and there's a thing of beauty up near their porch? Ever seen a beautiful and immaculate lawn? Like ours in the back here, perhaps. It's pretty and it's green. But when you walk up on it, when you get close to it, there's weeds growing. There's thorns sticking out. There's little flowers out there that actually shouldn't be there on just a perfect grass. There's something beside the look of the lawn. There's something inside there that should not be there. Today our sermon is entitled Pulling Weeds. Ever had a relationship that went bad? Ever been with somebody that you shouldn't have been with? Ever had anger and unforgiveness in your life when you know you should get rid of it? Sometimes we got to pull things out of our lives. Today, the sermon is entitled Pulling Weeds. We're going to be looking at Proverbs 22, verses 1 through 16. Proverbs 22, verses 1 through 16. I'm going to do it a section at a time as we go through our message today. Our lives can be a tangle of issues and problems. Our life can be a tangle and a mess of, if you let your garden, your life, overgrow without tending it, everything can get combined and mixed up together. Your emotions, your feelings, everything's overgrowing, overlapping on one thing or another. You can live a life of a messy life. But what I want us to look at today is how can we clean up the garden that is our life? How can we pluck out these weeds that are in our life? How can we get rid of relationships perhaps that we shouldn't be there? Thoughts that we have, anger issues that we have. We have to clean ourselves up in order to get all that God has for us. So let's look here today at Proverbs 22 verses 1 through 16. I'm going to start out with Proverbs 1 verses 1 through 6. I'm going to read 6 passages here, then we'll talk about that. And it reads, "A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than silver and gold. The rich and the poor have this in common. The Lord is the maker of them all. A prudent man foresees evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. By humility and fear of the Lord are riches and honor of life. Thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who guards his soul will be far from them. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." I am Joel, son of Arthur. That, back in the ancient times, that's how they used to introduce themselves. I am so and so, the son of this person or that. It says here in the first passage of Scripture, a good name is to be chosen rather than riches. Now, today, our names are chosen, a lot of thought put into them. But a lot of times, it is not exactly something of value, in a sense. Maybe we want our name or our legacy to live on, something along that way. But we might even be ashamed of the history that is behind us. Of, in a sense, who our parents were, who our grandparents were. We might not have a single clue who our ancestors are. A lot of us go through life. I wouldn't have a clue if someone in our family didn't put together a whole diagram of who the Blessitts are. And so I was able to look back and see when we came over from France and all the different things that went on in our lives. I am Joel, son of Arthur, is not a way that we introduce ourselves anymore. But this passage of Scripture says a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches. I think today our good name is truly our character. Our character can define exactly who we are in other people's eyes. Ever known someone and you don't want to call on them because they're completely unreliable? We don't have to say it. There might be somebody in here. But you know who they are, and you ask somebody, well, can we do this and this? Maybe we should call this person. And they say, no, don't call them. They'll never show up. Don't call them. They're not going to make it. They're not going to be there. You know, our character is who we are now. Our character defines who we are. I want to be someone, when they say, call Joel, or I need Joel, that is dependable. That is reliable. It says here, a good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, loving favor rather than gold and silver. More than a name is our character. So we have this garden of our life. We have this lawn. We have this area of our life, and I want someone to walk up to it and say, wow, that looks good. Not just from a distance, but up close. That there's real character. Are we all flawed? Yes. There's none of us that are perfect. But it's the tending of our garden of life that is important. Verse 5 reads, thorns and snares are in the way of the perverse. He who guards his soul will be far from them. Ever been hurt in life? Ever been scratched up? Ever been pushed down? Ever had your knees bleeding, your elbows bleeding? The thorns and snares of life begin to snag at you. Many times not by your own doing. Just the things of life. You start getting sick. All these things might happen. You can't pay your bills. You can't seem to get a job. The thorns and snares of life begin to snag at your body, at your mind, at your spirit. Your heart gets broken time after time. The thorns and snares rise up before you, scraped and cut over and over again. But have you ever been scraped and cut over and over again because of choices that you've made? Because of decisions that you've made? Life is hard enough just living it. But then here comes Joel, in my wisdom, and I want to go this way. And when everything starts to fall apart, I start blaming God and wondering, oh man, why did this happen? What's going on? Or Joel decides to go out to the bar all night, and be in this relationship and do this and do that. And I start to get cut and wounded and hurt unnecessarily. Unnecessarily. Because of a choice I made. I'm now living a life. The weeds are beginning to grow in my life. The decisions that I make. As soon as I turned 18, my mindset began to change. I'm now an adult. I'm going to live things my way. Boy, I put myself through a lot of unnecessary harm and pain. The thorns of life begin to grow inside me. The weeds begin to grow. The way I think of life begins to change.